Hi, I'm Nairn Hollott, and I was the first education coordinator for AIDS Vancouver Island, starting in 1987. And just when the organization was really getting itself organized and bringing in new volunteers and that kinds of things. And I was at a point in my life when I wanted to do something in the community. And I remember hearing a news item about infected young men in San Francisco who were dying on the streets because nobody would have anything to do with them. They were HIV positive, they had AIDS, and they were gay, so leave them to die on the streets. And I just couldn't stand that. I just thought we can't let that happen here. So, and as I say, at that point I saw an ad, just that AIDS Vancouver Island was looking for new volunteers, and I thought, okay, I can do that. I've been a teacher, and I had a background in sciences, so I'm not afraid of this thing, and so that's how I got started. And they were a great group of people with, there was that energy and really wanting to do something, because it was a big problem. We really had to get things done. So, and education, apart from, there was the side where we were giving support to people who were infected, but there was also that getting out there and trying to make sure more people didn't get infected, and that people who were infected were treated with respect and kindness instead of what often happened. But what people, I suppose, probably don't remember now is how frightened people were back there of infection. I mean, everybody thought, boy, if I touch anyone who's HIV infected, I'll probably get it. There was huge ignorance, and I mean, that's one of the things we were trying to get across to people, what was a risk and what wasn't. We had, apart from the general work in the general community, we also tried to identify groups of people that might be at a specific risk for a specific reason but might not realize it. And one of these was that the Canadian Navy was sending their ships down to Southeast Asia, and we had learnt that sex trade workers in Southeast Asia were becoming infected with HIV. And so there was a need to educate all those sailors going down there as to what the risk was and how to protect themselves. So I found myself in an aircraft hangar with several hundred young men explaining all the ins and outs of HIV infection and how you could, and then standing up there with a wooden penis and a condom showing them how to put it on. It was like, I don't think I ever expected to do this in my life. But at that point in time, because of the birth control pill and things, condoms really weren't used much. Felt they were needed. And so for a whole generation of young men, this was just totally new, the idea of using a condom, and yet it was vital that they did do this. Yeah. I remember we used to go out into the bars on Friday and Saturday night and hand them out to people, that kind of thing, just trying to get that word across. This is a vital item you need to use. That the one thing that I really was proud of in the years I was there, apart from noting that thing with the sailors and also looking at the risk in First Nations communities, because we were very aware that there was a real risk there and very little known within the community, so wherever we could, we worked with First Nations people as well. But the other group was injection drug users and people, using other people's needles. So Dr. Perry Kendall, who was then the mental health officer for the region, he felt there should be a needle exchange program. There were not a lot of them in the world at that point, and they were very controversial, So local governments weren't going to run one; they just wouldn't. So Perry Kendall came to us and asked, "Is it possible that AVI could get involved?" And I did some research, found out everything I could about how they ran and what their effects were and whether it was a worthwhile thing to do, and made a presentation to the AVI board at the time. And when I think back, they made a very courageous decision and a very far-sighted decision to go ahead with this. And they told Perry Kendall, "Okay, we'll do a needle exchange program." And I think that's my favorite memory of because that was an amazing decision to make, and I think it made a lot of change. And I'm really glad we did that. I'm very proud of AVI for that. And I look back and think it was difficult, working with people who at that point, there was very little hope for people who were infected at that point. It was difficult. But at the same time, we really did think that we were